Getting a visa to come to the United States just got a lot more difficult. Let's talk. I'm sure by now you've heard that Donald Trump signed a series of executive orders when he took office on January 20th. Well, one of those executive orders requires the Department of Homeland Security to tighten up on its screening and vetting process. Essentially, they're asking the Department of Homeland Security to apply the highest level of screening and vetting before they issue out visas. So what does this mean for you or your loved one? More questions, more details, and more preparation will be required to ensure that you're able to get your visa overseas. Now, getting your visa does not necessarily mean that you would be admitted into the United States. This is because the Department of Homeland Security is required to apply the highest level of screening and vetting for individuals seeking admission into the United States. So this means most individuals seeking admission to the United States at port of entries, like an airport, can expect to see longer lines, as CBP officers will have to do an in-depth assessment as to whether a person should be admitted into the United States or not. It's possible that more individuals would have to go into secondary inspection to allow CBP officers to ask in-depth questions and further evaluate whether the individual should be admitted into the United States. So you're likely going to see a lot more lines for individuals seeking admission into the country. The executive order states that individuals coming from countries with an identified security risk are more likely to go through secondary inspection and will have to go through this maximum level of screening. However, at this point, any individual seeking admission into the United States should expect to have to answer more questions and go through this level of screening and scrutiny before being admitted into the United States. So one thing that's already changed as a result of this executive order is how individuals can apply for visa renewal. If you'll remember in the past during COVID, if your visa had expired less than 48 months prior and you are filing for a renewal within the same classification, you may have been eligible for an interview waiver, meaning you could get your visa renewed without attending an interview. Well, that's no longer the case. Effective immediately, if you're filing for a visa renewal within the same classification, but the visa has expired more than 12 months, you would likely have to attend an interview. Interview waivers currently are only available to people who are filing for a renewal within the same classification whose visas have not expired more than 12 months and who also meet other eligibility requirements. So as you can see, a lot is changing as far as immigration processes within the United States. Now with this executive order, processes outside of the United States at your local consulates and embassies will also be changing. So remember, if you're applying for a visa overseas, expect more questions and in-depth screening. And if you're seeking admission into the United States, also expect to see longer lines, potentially secondary inspection, and more questioning. If you have any questions or thoughts, let me know in the comments. And as always, if you need any assistance, give my office a call. That's all.